Hello dudes, Axel here. Welcome to part 3 of my What I Use to Produce Content series. The playlist name is Axel's Setup, but I keep calling it What I Use to Produce Content, but I was like, that's too long for a playlist, so we're just gonna call it Axel's Setup in the playlist. I'm still gonna use the longer name in video though, because I've already started doing it that way, so I might as well keep doing it. Don't worry, the playlist description mentions that as if people ever read descriptions for anything on YouTube anymore. If you do, if you don't, anyway, this is my second take recording this because the first time around, let me go back to the main screen here real quick. Everything looks fine here right now, right? If you guys pay attention, I think I mentioned I was considering doing so when I did the OBS video. I was like, I'm going to change the canvas size down to 1080p. Since that was originally at 1440p, and then I fixed mostly everything to fit the 1080p canvas size for OBS. Let's see if we go down to this tab real quick. My screen cap window here, that was still at the 1440p size. So like most of the, okay, not most of it, but like a good chunk of the screen was still cut off. So yeah, basically, I could have just inserted some alternate footage to kind of fix it from there, but that'd be a really janky way to do it. So yeah, instead, I'm just going to reshoot it entirely. Hopefully, I remember to go over everything that I went in the first time, but this should also go a bit more smoothly this time. I'm going to need one of these open. One sec. Okay, so to start with, part 3 here, we're going to go over the software that I use to produce the content, just in general. You saw OBS, that was for recording and streaming, obviously. Now we're going to go into video editing and any and all thumbnail slash photo slash editing of that sort. So first off, the video editing software that I use. It's a program called Kdenlive. Originally, it was just on Linux, but it is also available on Windows. I cannot speak for how good the Windows version is, as I have not used it, but it is available on Windows as well as Linux. I don't know if it's on Mac or not, but it is on Linux and Windows. It is completely free and open source. You can, download it for free, do whatever you want with it. No restrictions, no weird licensing stuff or anything. It's either Kdenlive or Kdenlive. I don't actually know how to pronounce it properly. I just always call it Kdenlive, but either way, this is the video editing software that I use. I'm gonna actually open up one of my projects that I've done here. Let's do. Why are those the recent? Those are not the most recent one. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh, probably because I moved stuff around. Let's open up. What's something that I actually had to edit and not just kind of throw together? Linux log. Hey, maybe that one? No. Miscellaneous? Ah, yes, solving GIF versus GIF. Perfect. Okay, so, yeah. It works perfectly well. Got all this stuff here. It's going through things a bit slowly right now. That's probably because I have OBS recording right now. Yeah, my CPU usage kind of bumped up on that. Anyway, not really a surprise there. So it works perfectly well. It's just like any standard video editing software, obviously not professional level, and it's definitely not a replacement for something like Adobe Premiere, but it is easily a replacement for something like Windows Movie Maker. Easily. Just, not quite on the level of Adobe Premiere or like Final Cut Pro or anything, but for what I use it for, it does get the job done. Now, that being said, before we continue here, let me actually turn that on. Well, it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, I don't have it to where we can hear my desktop audio right now, but that shouldn't matter for what I'm going to be demonstrating here. Okay, so that's Kdenlive. And like I mentioned, it's prosumer level software, so it gets the job done. It can do some fancy stuff, but it's not like it's not a replacement for Adobe Premiere. That being said, there are at least 2 kind of bigger name video editing programs that are available for Linux. That would be Lightworks and DaVinci Resolve. I have tried Lightworks in the past briefly. Not only was it not able to recognize the clips that I use, which I imagine are for the same reasons that DaVinci Resolve did not. I'll get into that in a second. But also, trying to use Lightworks was kind of fucking weird. I'm sure if I learned to, it would be fine, but it's like vast. On first impression, it was drastically different from anything I'm used to, so I have not really tried to look into using Lightworks very much. As for DaVinci Resolve, I'm sure it's a fantastic piece of software. It's just I've had so many problems trying to get everything working properly here on Linux. So, if you look down at my timeline here, you'll see that there's like little audio peaks there that, obviously represents the audio. So first off with DaVinci Resolve, I had to do like a bunch of little workaround things to actually get it to launch in the first place, which wasn't necessarily too hard once I figured out how to do what I was trying to do, but minor annoyance there. So that definitely would not work for somebody who does not know what they're doing with the Linux operating system if they're just coming over being like, okay, I just want to get work done. Not the greatest thing right there. Unless, well, okay. So there was that. Then I found that the formats and stuff that OBS records to, apparently DaVinci Resolve did not like them and would not even recognize that they existed. Like just completely blank while adding folders to that for project stuff. So yeah, that didn't really work. So I wound up having to convert my footage to like a specific type of formats like DNX HD. I know I've heard of that before. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm not very savvy with too many video formats outside of like MP4 and like certain codecs, but none of the like I guess higher end stuff. I'm not too familiar with that kind of thing. Anyway, had to convert my footage to that, and so finally was able to get a clip into DaVinci Resolve and actually work with it. But then, even though the audio peaks were very clearly visible and stuff, I could not hear the audio. So, yeah, I'm sure that DaVinci Resolve is fantastic when it's working properly, but for the life of me, have not been able to get it to work properly. And I really would like to. I would like to, because it is like definitely more on the level of something that could replace Adobe Premiere, and it's available on Linux. But I just, for the life of me, could not get it to work properly. Now, that being said, technically, they only officially support Red Hat Linux and CentOS. I am on Ubuntu, which is different. So I don't know if I would have better results if I was on one of their officially supported distributions. I would assume that I would because they're officially supported. But yeah, kind of hard to talk about that. So other than that and Lightworks, there's not really any more professional level video editing software available for Linux. But I don't know. I still want to do some more messing around with trying to get things to work with those properly, because, if I could, that'd be pretty cool. Because from what I have been able to tell, at least, DaVinci Resolve is a pretty damn good piece of software. So that could definitely be a contender for being a replacement for Adobe Premiere rather than just an alternative. Anyway, I might also look into Lightworks some more. I'll probably look into both of those a bit more. But anyway, that's it for Kdenlive. So that's the video side of things. What I use for my thumbnails, every thumbnail that, well, okay, I shouldn't say every, but okay, let's say, okay, Wind Waker HD. For all the Wind Waker HD thumbnails, for example, all of those were made using GIMP. Most of you probably know of GIMP. It is very popular as a free alternative to Photoshop. Not really a replacement for Photoshop, but an alternative to Photoshop nonetheless. So, I have used GIMP for quite a while, but recently I have started replacing it with this program here called Krita. Krita is advertised as more of a painting program rather than a photo editing or image manipulation program like GIMP is, but it does still do the job pretty well. So what I'm going to show you guys is one of the main reasons that I'm looking more into using Krita over GIMP, aside from also looking a lot nicer. But that's kind of more of a superficial thing. Anyway, let me actually maximize that. I'm probably bothering some people. Anyway, one of the biggest reasons that I am making the move from GIMP over to Krita is I am in the wrong folder here. Oh god, hold on. New projects. Game, Zelda, Wind Waker. Okay, so I'm going to open up this. This is the template file that I use for my Wind Waker HD thumbnails. So one of the biggest reasons that I'm wanting to move away from GIMP is doing text effects, aka just in general layer effects, but in this case for the text. So you'll see it looks, in my opinion, rather nice here. I got all the like the hero mode text and the episode text matching with what the official Wind Waker logo here is, because that's just an image of that. But we got a link right there. So I think I did a decent job matching it up there. The problem is, you know, it does look nice, works relatively well. The problem is if you look over here in my layers, I have to do the outline and the drop shadow completely manually. So, for example, if I wanted to change the episode number here from 11 to 12, doesn't quite match up there, does it? Now I would need to both remake the drop shadow, and the outline. And to do that, I need to have the text layer, do right-click, text to path, select, from path, select, grow. I do 2 pixels. We do that. Now I need a new layer for that outline. Let's see. Episode X. Outline. Let's move that below. Go to our bucket tool. And we fill in. Boom! We have an outline. And I have to do that every time that I want to change anything about that text there. So that was just the outline. Now we got to do the drop shadow. So we select none real quick. So what I do for the drop shadow, we are going to, where is it? Duplicate this layer, move it down. We hide the original real quick. So, gonna take the episode text, make that from yellow to black, and then filter, blur, do a Gaussian blur of, I think it's like, okay, not that much. Let's say 20? I don't remember exactly how much, but we'll just try 20 for now. So we do that, make you visible again. Oh, it doesn't need to be visible yet, but anyway, do this, and then I need to... There. And that is every time that I want to change the number. I'm also just realizing I didn't actually have to... Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no, yes, I do need to do the drop shadow every time, because once I add the blur, it's no longer a text layer. So if I try to go back here, edit it, no. It'll discard this modification, so it wouldn't be blurred anymore. But, well, I guess in that sense, I wouldn't need to remake the layer entirely, but still, that's all very tedious. So that kind of sucks to have to do. In Krita, we go ahead and open up the same file here. Now, thing is, since I've been taking this from GIMP, it won't actually recognize these as text layers, unfortunately, so I'd have to redo it. So we're just going to hide that real quick. So, let's do a new layer. We'll move that out of there. Let's call this episode X. Okay, so with Krita, the way that editing text layers and stuff works is actually quite a bit more like Photoshop. So that's pretty nice. Oh, I just had a thought, actually. Undo that real quick. We are going to do eyedropper that. Excellent. I think it was already that color, actually, because I was messing with this earlier. Again, this is take 2. So let's see, do that. We obviously need to make this smaller. Also, the font was Gentium. We had that bold. Okay. A little smaller. This isn't going to match up perfectly with what I have in the GIMP version, but works for what it is. Okay, so also helps if I give it the proper stuff, doesn't it? Okay, so episode, let's call it 11 for now. Move that up a little. Cool. Okay, so with Krita, much like Photoshop, I can just take a layer, right-click, layer style. Look, drop shadow. Let's put that at about... It should show up down here in a second, I think. And a second now. Maybe not. Okay, whatever. I think I had this at like 5. Oh, why is preview off? I don't know why preview was off, but Still taking a second here. Hold on. Oh, because the text layer is its own layer. I'm done. Hold on. Get rid of that. You are the one I wanted. From what I can tell, though, you can't like copy and paste layer styles, it would seem. So that's it. Wait, what? Why do I even have a preview box then? Okay, yeah, I don't know about that one, but let's bring that back a little bit. Let's see. I think it's right about there. Yeah, right about there. Let me do our stroke. That's way too big, though. Let's bring that down. I could just type it in, but last time I tried typing it in, for some reason, it put a bunch of extra numbers at the beginning. Anyway, let's see. About 2. That looks like it's matching up pretty well. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. And now if I want to change it, actually I need to do a selection tool. So now if I want to change it, boom, episode 12. Look at that. We did it. Yay. So quick. So that in itself is enough reason for me to want to use this instead of GIMP. And other than that, I kind of like the overall interface better. It's pretty nice. Again, it's technically meant to be a painting program, but it works perfectly fine for like making thumbnails and stuff like this too. And definitely working with text is quite nicer than GIMP simply because of the layer style stuff, similar to what Photoshop has. So that is Krita. That is what I'm getting the hang of now. I've only briefly used it, but yeah, there you go. You know what? We're gonna save this in a second here. Save this as version 3. Okay, so that makes it a KRA because Krita. Got it. All right, so that's Krita. And again, that was GIMP. Also kind of hard to keep things consistent in that case, but yeah. So Krita is what I'm starting to use now. I think Krita is also available on Windows, much like Kdenlive. Don't quote me on that, though. Hell, I can check right now. Let's see. Chrome. Okay. Krita. I think it's available on like all of the big 3. Yeah, Windows, Linux, and Mac. Krita is available on all of those, and I think it's pretty good. I do think it's pretty good. Anyway, I think that's about it for what I use. Sometimes I use Audacity. Not too often, though, admittedly, but I do sometimes use Audacity. Although usually, as far as editing audio goes, I pretty much just do it within Kdenlive because I don't usually need to do a whole lot. But I do have Audacity, and I think that's almost it. One thing I forgot about that I also forgot last time. That's not where I meant to save that. Whoops. Anyway, if we go under here, go to my recordings. So, this one right here is what's currently being recorded, so I'm not going to mess with that right now. But you'll notice I have 2 .sh files right here. Those are script files. This is the one that I made to use to convert the files to be able to be used in DaVinci Resolve. This one, as its name would imply, extracts the audio tracks from the video. So just for a quick demonstration, let's type that in. Let's take the HDMI test. So I put in the name of the file I'm extracting the audio from, and then the track number. Track 2 is going to be my commentary, if there is any commentary. Pretty much as far as which track it's going to be, and I just need to remember what I had stuff set to in OBS. I think it'd be track 3 for the game audio. Let's see here. I'm wrong! Track 1. What's track 3 then? Track 3 is something. Track 1. There it is. You guys can't hear it. So I need to make that setup better. But yeah, trust me, that one works. Anyway, that's it for this part. Next time, much like last time, I'm going to have you guys vote, although I can probably already guess what you guys are going to decide on. I'm going to go... okay, yeah, your choices are, for the next part, 1... do you want me to go more in depth to my setup in terms of the rest of the hardware that I use? Because the first part, I only went over the capture device, but there's a lot more to it than just that. So option 1 is, should I go into... what the fuck? Oh, that's overlay stuff. Don't mind that. Should I go into the hardware, like my microphone stand, audio interface, other stuff, maybe a bit into the computer itself as well? Or do you want me to finally go over the Linux desktop and all this stuff? I imagine you guys are going to vote for the hardware side of things, but I'm going to give the option anyway. So vote in the comments down below. If you have any questions, ask those in the comments below, or hit me up on Twitter, as always, at Akzel94. Till then, this has been Akzel. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.